Here is a question that will change how you think about testing. Where do most bugs actually live? Not in the way a button looks. Not in the font size or the color of a heading. Most bugs live in the data layer, the invisible conversation happening between your front end and your back end. And most QA engineers never test it directly. They click through a UI form, wait for a response, and call it done. But if you want to catch the bugs that actually break production, the validation errors, the missing fields, the permission failures, the 500s that happen when you send unexpected data, you need to test the API itself. And here is the best part. You do not need to know how to code. You do not need a development environment. You do not need anything except a free tool called Postman and about 10 minutes. That is what this video is about. Let's go. Before we open Postman, let's make sure we understand what an API is, because the concept is simpler than it sounds. Think of a restaurant. You are the customer, that is the front end, the UI. The kitchen is the back end, that is where the logic and the data live. The waiter is the API. You do not walk into the kitchen and cook your own food. You tell the waiter what you want, the waiter tells the kitchen, and the kitchen sends back what you ordered. An API is exactly that interface. The front end sends a request, I want the list of users, or create a new account, or delete this record, and the back end sends back a response, here is your data, or that worked, or that was not allowed. Postman lets you be the waiter. You send requests directly to the back end, without a front end UI in the way, and you see exactly what the back end returns. That is enormously powerful for testing, because you are talking to the system the way every other system talks to it, directly, with raw data, with no browser rendering anything for you. You see the truth. Let's build your first API request. Step 1, go to postman.com, download the app, and install it. It is free. Open it and create a new collection. Think of a collection like a folder for your tests. Name it something like My First API Tests. Step 2, inside the collection, create a new request. You will see a URL bar at the top and a method selector next to it. This defaults to GET. A GET request means you are asking for data. No changes, just read. Step 3, we need a real API to test against. Use JSON placeholder. It is a free public testing API at johnplaceholder.typicode.com. Type this URL into the bar, https://johnplaceholder.typicode.com/users. Step 4, click send. What comes back is a JSON array, a list of 10 fake users with names, emails, usernames, addresses, and more. Look at the bottom panel. You can see the response body, the status code in the top right of the response section. It should say 200 OK and the time it took. 200 is the standard success code for a GET request. It means the server found what you asked for and returned it. Step 5, try/user/1 that returns a single user by ID. Try/user/999 you should get a 404, meaning not found. You are now querying an API and reading real responses. You are API testing. Now let's go deeper. A GET request reads data. But most applications also need to create, update, and delete data, and that is where the real testing happens. Change your method from GET to POST. A POST request sends data to the server to create something new. In the URL bar, use https://johnplaceholder.typicode.com/posts. Now go to the Body tab, select Raw, and choose JSON from the drop-down. Type a simple JSON object opening curly brace, then title : in quotes my first post, then user ID : 1, then body : in quotes testing this endpoint, then closing curly brace. Click send. The response comes back with a 201 status code that means created. The server accepted your data and created a new resource. Now let's add a test. Go to the Scripts tab in Postman, some versions call it Tests. You will see a JavaScript editor. Type this, pm.test, open parenthesis, then in quotes status code is 201, then a function. Inside the function, pm.response.to.have.status, open parenthesis, 201, close parenthesis. Click Send again. You will see a test results section at the bottom. It should show one passing test. You just wrote your first automated API assertion without any setup, any framework, any configuration. Now try changing the status to 200 in your test, watch it fail. That is what a real failure looks like. Your expectation did not match reality. That gap is where bugs live. Here is why every QA engineer who learns API testing gets noticed. API tests run 10 times faster than UI tests. There is no browser to open, no page to render, no JavaScript to execute. You send a request and get a response in milliseconds. That means you can run hundreds of API tests in the time it takes to run 10 UI tests. Second, API tests catch bugs earlier. Before the frontend team has finished building the UI, the backend API already exists. You can start testing it immediately. You find defects while they are still cheap to fix, before the frontend has been built around broken behavior. Third, API tests are the contract. When a frontend developer calls an endpoint, they are trusting that it returns what was documented. Your API tests verify that contract is honored. When someone changes the backend and breaks that contract, your test catches it in seconds. Fourth, this is a skill gap in most QA teams. Most QA engineers only test through the UI. Adding API testing to your toolkit makes you immediately more valuable because you are testing a layer most of your team is not touching at all. Let's recap. 1. Most bugs live in the data layer, not in the UI. API testing catches them directly. 2. Postman is free, requires no code to start, and runs on your laptop in minutes. 3. A GET request reads data and returns a status code. 200 means success, 404 means not found. 4. A POST request sends data to create a resource. 201 means created. 5. Postman Scripts tab lets you write assertions without leaving the tool. No framework required. 6. API testing is faster, earlier, and gives you a skill gap advantage over most QA teams. In the next video, we are going deep on boundary value analysis, one of the oldest and most powerful testing techniques that will immediately make your test cases smarter. Subscribe so you do not miss it. And drop a comment below. Have you ever caught a bug through API testing that would have slipped through a UI test? I would genuinely love to know. QA Career Lab. Because quality is not an accident. It is a practice.